which factors into the story in no way whatsoever.
Zero. He fancies himself a vlogger slash content man.
Yeah, influencer, whatever.
Something, but we've never. He claims to have like 20,000 followers or something, and then.
You'd think that would come into play, where he's like, "We're in trouble. We're stranded here. Let me try and reach out to my follower." Nope. It's basically the core group of characters. The movie is essentially a remake of Cabin Fever, but in Cabin Fever you have a flesh-eating virus that makes everyone go crazy. This movie, you have nothing that makes everyone go crazy. You have people that were cold for half a day, so they lose their minds. But the dynamic, it's 3 guys, 2 girls, 2 of them are a couple. One of them is friend-zoned by one of the other girls. It's all very, very similar to Cabin Fever.
Yeah, and it's very simple, and then it becomes bafflingly dumb.
Yes.
And boring.
That's the thing. This isn't a funny, bad movie. We're not talking about like a money plane here.
No, but it's oddly fascinating that it would get made.
Oh, shit.
Everyone in this movie's fine. They're all professional working actors.
The lead girl who played
way.
Eden was convincing. Everyone else was just like, okay.
Damn.
Yeah, they were fine. Compared to, like, I watched the trailers for all these other movies. They all look like crap visually. They all have bad acting. I skimmed through a little bit of The Third Guest, and like it looks like a Neil Breen movie. Every shot is like this claustrophobic close-up. It's really bizarre. And then this movie looks really good. Like for a low-budget movie, like the cinematography is nice. There's lots of like, if it's not natural lighting, they do a good job of replicating natural lighting. And yeah, there's money behind it, or just someone that really knows cameras and lenses and where to place the camera to get good lighting with natural light from the windows. It's a good-looking movie. And then it's just like the dumbest shit you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
There's like a incongruity between how it looks and the actual content.
We need firewood, River. That's an antique.
Oh boy. It's a terrible script.
Should we go a brief overview of the plot?
I laughed. I laughed aloud when it starts. It starts with a close-up of a radio, and it's like cycling through radio stations. There's been a horrible plane crash.
Following a tragic plane crash in the East Hills area, we're still awaiting information of how many passengers were on board the aircraft, but it is believed to be weather-related.
I'm like, kids going to a cabin in the woods on New Year's. I don't know much else about it other than that. And I thought, maybe the plane crashed. The pilot went insane and crashed the plane. And then he got all burnt up, and he looks like Two-Face, and he's walking around the woods. And he's your killer.
Yeah.
I thought I'm like, why do you tell us about this plane crash? It ain't got nothing to do with the movie.
It's a red herring. All the explanations for what's going on are vague red herrings.
Of a highly contagious SARS-like virus seems to be spreading rapidly overseas.
And the only one that makes any logical sense is the stupidest, which is that they all go crazy from being stuck in a cabin in the snow for a day.
Well, we'll get to that. But the lines were just like, I don't know if it's the script or the direction, but the lines were just like, the first line is,
Hey, how much longer?
are we there yet? And then Kit, the influencer guy, he's like, GPS says 15 minutes.
GPS says 15 minutes.
Thank God.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's very like
And it's
line, cut.
And then they get the point is they're going to this nice house. I would even call it a cabin in the woods. It's a very large mansion. And they're going there to celebrate New Year's Eve. And then they go there and it's like deathly quiet. They're just sitting around bored. One guy, Colton Trans, says, let's do shots. And it's like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Sure.
Well, yeah, he's the party guy, but they do shots and then they all like fall asleep and wait around. And then it's like a very quick montage of them celebrating New Year's Eve. And then, she says, hold on.
Too many notes. Oh my God.
Okay, so young people make dinner.
So, what's for dinner?
Stir fry, and everyone's helping.
A stir fry.
Yeah.
We're making a stir fry.
And then we watch them
Party!
do that. These are the scenes that you have happen so you get to know your characters. Like, we know that they can make stir fry.
I'm
Young
testing
people
out this
don't
other
do
side
this
so I can
stuff,
put like
though.
something else here, right?
Like I was thinking in
put,
my head, I
like,
would rather see. It would be enjoyable
Like stock.
to watch a movie with this premise, just with old people, like 5 old people, like people in their 80s.
Yeah.
Will go to have a quiet New Year's Eve at a cabin, and there's like a
So
screen.
nice to get out of the city.
Right, and they're just how long? The GPS, the gyps. Well, the old person will get it wrong. My Garmin says 15 minutes. Oh, good, because I gotta go. And then they get there, and
They
there's
point
like,
out that the one guy doesn't have his seatbelt on. And he's like, "Oh, I forgot."
yeah, right.
That's the reason he's not wearing a seatbelt.
And they're all just driving quietly. They're not just like kids in their 20s would be like, give me your phone. They'd be talking nonstop, and they're just sitting quietly driving. And then they get there, and they're just like so reserved and quiet, and
Yeah.
no one's doing drugs, no one's smoking weed, no one's like. There is like some kind of sex stuff, sort of. He jokes around, he climbs on her and says, this bed will make for a great sex bed. And she says, my stomach hurts. And he's like, and then the scene just ends.
It's just over, yeah.
And then, but old people, and then you have like a scream face, like ghost face killer shows up in the window, and it's just like I'm gonna go kill some teens in the woods, and it's just a bunch of elderly people.
Oh.
He goes, I would like a little twist. But so what I'm saying is, for a movie written and directed by a young person, strangely, all the characters act like they were written by like a 75-year-old person.
Yeah.
And or directed by an old person. Here's where you're gonna turn on Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve and eat your stir fry. Don't forget to take your cholesterol and your blood pressure pills. That was their night, and it's
Yeah.
like, and also it's apparently it's. We'll talk about the cold. That's the main villain of the film,
Yes, we'll get into that.
and how completely illogical.
Well, also continuing what you were saying, the movie feels very like prudish, in a way that's weird. Like again, comparing this to Cabin Fever, which is like a horny nightmare. But sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Sorry, I would describe.
But yeah, like there's a part in the movie later in the movie, one of the characters is hallucinating, and he's hallucinating that the main girl is like seducing him,
Yeah.
and she's like out of focus in the background. She's like taking the sleeve off her jacket, but she has like a full turtleneck underneath. And he's like, "Stop, or you'll get cold." It's like she's fully dressed. This is the seduction scene. It would make sense if she was like naked and like come to bed with me.
Or let's get in
That's
the
the-
hot shower, and then they
Hot
start boning in the
shower.
hot shower.
Yeah, which
And-
is sort of in the movie. They put that in the trailer to give you the illusion that
Right.
there's some sort of life and sex in this film when there isn't.
right.
There's the one girl that takes her top off, kind of, but she's from the back, and it's because they want to get they're trying to get body heat from each other.
Although they jump into the hot tub in the trailer, and you're like,
Oh yeah,
and then that scene is like 10 seconds long. So yeah, you're right on that point. Is like you make a movie like this for 2 reasons: to show naked people and to have violent murders, and neither happen.
nothing happens. Yeah,
Almost nothing happens.
there's a couple hallucinations that are very jarring and look terrible, and we'll get into them when we talk about the cold.
Yes. So here's
This is like the looming threat, us talking about the cold. We're gonna get to it.
That's every October, November for us. We've been through all this shit. I would say that this movie was made by a bunch of little assholes from California.
Well, that's what I
But
was thinking. Is the director, like kid, like he's never been outside of California.
Well, it says he grew up in Utah, and so I don't know where. Utah can get cold, maybe in southern Utah. I really don't know. But yeah, it does come across comical, how like not ill-prepared they are, but how unrealistic.
So the whole thing is, the power goes out because of all the bad weather. It's snowing constantly. The roads, they can't get out of the cabin because the roads are completely blocked off by snow, even though they never seem to get more than like an inch of snow through the whole movie,
Right.
even though it never stops snowing.
Yes.
Except for the shots where it does.
Yes.
So they're trapped. And over the course of one day, they all start to lose their minds.
Right.
And they kind of have some like allusions to, oh, maybe there's something evil in the snow.
What if the snow is, I don't know,
Evil.
somehow contaminated?
And it's like, well, that's stupid, so it won't be that. The only thing it could be, they talk about, oh, we got to stay awake, because if we fall asleep, this is more Wikipedia sniping. So they all try to stay awake, so it's like, oh, okay, so they're going crazy from sleep deprivation.
Right.
That's the only thing that makes sense logically in the movie. It's not evil snow. There's
No.
not toxins in the snow.
They eat the snow. That's why they think that, because they
Yeah,
make snow
yeah.
cones for.
So they can say, we ate the snow. Maybe the snow's making us go crazy.
One brings snow cone juice.
Maybe they just poured booze on it? I don't remember.
It was colorful.
Okay.
Yeah, but so there's this very large property, house, cabin, whatever you want to call it. It has a big fireplace. It of course has electricity, some sort of heater.
There is a generator.
There's a generator, but it's out of gas.
Well, I kept waiting. They keep cutting to the establishing shot of the house, and one of the characters early in the movie makes a snowman. And that snowman is so prominent in the foreground of all those establishing shots. I was like, oh, that's going to be their way of showing how much the snow accumulates.
yeah.
By the end, you're just going to see like the top of the snowman's head. But every time they cut to that the exterior throughout the whole movie, throughout several days, it never accumulates any more than where it's at the beginning of the movie.
They don't understand about snow accumulation.
They put a plug-in effect of snow in the foreground of the shot.
Right.
Which they couldn't do for the scenes that they actually shot outside. So it just coincidentally, every time they go outside, the snow stops. But we see the car after like 3 or 4 days of them being there. There's like a little bit of snow on the top of the car. None of it adds up. Just get in the car and drive away.
Do they ever say where they are? Where is snow falls?
I don't think so.
The North Pole? I mean, because that's the thing is like, sure, a bomb cyclone can happen. You know, like recently, I think it was Buffalo, New York, got just tons of snow, like 6 feet, whatever. That can happen. Usually that's not associated with temperatures that are negative 300 degrees.
There's that too.
Which
yeah.
which you would need to worry about dying
Yes.
while having a shelter. This is like exposure on Mount Everest, kind of. That's how they're treating it.
Yeah.
See, they have a house that's presumably insulated. So, regardless, even if it was 0 out, the house probably would top out at 50 or 40 degrees. Completely survivable temperatures to where you could sleep.
Yes.
And then that's the whole thing is like that idiot medical student just says that's we can't sleep.
Yeah.
Because if you sleep,
Is that on the first night or like the second
it's like
night?
the first night.
Yeah.
And she says you can't have sugar
Yeah.
because you'll get a sugar rush, but then you'll crash.
Sugar isn't a good idea.
What's to stay awake?
And also a sugar rush is not scientifically accurate either.
Sure.
That's like, what do they call it? Not an urban myth. Old wives' tale.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you give them a bunch of sugar. I mean, sure, yes, you know, it raises your blood sugar. So she's like, we can't, you can't fall asleep.
All right, let's earn
because,
this 150.
If you
Let's do
fall
it.
asleep inside the house,
Yeah.
you'll die. People can live in a tent in the fucking cold. You might get frostbite. That'll happen before hypothermia.
Right. Which never happens in this movie.
No.
Yeah.
Before your body just dies, your
All right,
your
let's do this.
fingers will turn black. And
go,
your
go,
toes
go,
will
go.
turn black. Your nose will fall off
So that'd be pretty creepy. in the
because
movie.
all your blood goes to your inner organs.
Yeah.
And it says, forget about your extremities, your nose, those aren't important. Your heart, your lungs, and all that is.
Yeah.
And so that will happen before you die.
Sorry.
And so it's snowing out. It can't be like that cold.
Yeah.
And then they have blankets and they're inside a house. And
Well, and they have a huge ass fireplace, and they even bring this up, and it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, we don't have any wood to burn in the fireplace. They're like, what are you talking about? We have wood everywhere. This whole house is, we got tables, we got chairs. And the kid's like, no, those are antiques. So that's their justification for never throwing anything in the fireplace. And the kid even says, Fred even says, like, would your dad prefer you die or ruin some antiques? It's like, yeah, that makes sense. Why are we ignoring that?
it's only until 3 of the 5 main characters are dead that he decides to start burning the antiques. So there's a limit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I'm sure not everything is an antique. Go get one of the beds from upstairs. Like, sure, chop up, there's so much raw material in the house.
Yeah.
And then
Well, and they're surrounded by the woods.
one girl says, are we out of dry firewood?
Okay.
So I guess we are. I don't know a lot about camping and this kind of stuff, but I guess we're to assume that if they were to go outside and chop down a tree, it wouldn't
Too wet to
burn
'cause that
well.
yeah, that can happen. So.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess you have to dry out firewood, but just the fact that like it's not a science fiction movie. It's not like our sun burnt out and the temperature outside is negative 500 degrees.
That'd be a better
Fahrenheit.
justification for what's happening.
Yeah, and so the whole like premise, I would have been okay with toxic snow.
Sure.
They ate toxic snow and they went crazy, but
But we don't know. That may be what happened. The movie's too vague to let us
true.
know for
It's
sure.
ambiguous.
It's keeping it ambiguous, just like The Shining.
Right, sure.
Just like The Shining.
Just like The Shining.
Except without all the snow that makes you feel like they are isolated and trapped.
Oh yeah.
Remember that in The Shining? There's a shit ton of snow everywhere. Yeah. There's not a quarter of an inch of snow.
Yeah, so the main core of the movie is girl decides that no one can fall asleep because they will die of hypothermia. And then the lack of sleep causes hallucination.
Yes.
Which hallucinations would really kind of be like a couple days, 3 days, maybe longer. And it's like one night.
Well, the first thing that happens, and this is before I even understood that they were supposed to be crazy already. They're in the kitchen. The one guy's in the kitchen, and they have the stove going. The stovetop.
Yes.
And he immediately slams his hand down on it. And I was like, what's happening? They didn't even establish that they've gone crazy. It just he just
He was
does
so
it.
cold, he just wanted that.
All right, welcome new viewers. Sorry, hold on, I'm back. And what's
And then
going on?
but they're
Internet
like, why
is
did you
being
do that? And he
terrible.
just doesn't say anything.
It's
It
raining.
was so weird. It was a weird way to introduce that
Make sure you
idea
guys
that
follow.
they're starting to lose their minds.
Was
Because
that-
it wasn't even established yet.
This is me like stretching it, but I realized the power's out. The gas was still working.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, with most gas stoves, you could just ignite it with a match.
Boom.
So maybe
Yeah.
that was like, yeah, it was because he's like, ooh, heat. And so that was like, oh, we can't use the stove anymore.
Oh God.
Because you could just have all those burners on and just be like, waiting for the rescue. Waiting to be rescued from an inch of snow.
Was that the reason for that scene?
I really don't know. It's
There
all.
is a lot of where you could tell, as stupid as the movie is, it does feel like the writer, director, co-star was like trying to think of everything that they'd get you for.
Right, yeah.
That assholes like us would get you for. But he failed so horribly at everything that everything's wrong.
I really don't care about the get you for as long as it's like entertaining. I watched a different movie that's very similar. I don't know if you watched it. It was called Sick.
No, is that the Kevin Williamson written one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched that.
It was okay.
Okay.
It was a little ridiculous, but it was like kind of funny, and it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. But it was like, young people like try to. It seemed very late to be commenting on pandemic stuff.
Oh, sure.
It came out in 2022, like towards the end.
Came out, pretty recently, towards the end of last
but
year.
it was like young people who are in college go to a cabin in the woods to like ride out the pandemic, or so they think, because it's right at the start. And so they have their masks and they're talking about coronavirus, and there's the people trying to kill them.
Oh my God! Just one moment.
Oh shit.
Unlock the door!
That's it.
And I don't want to spoil it, but has like a little twist at the end, and it has some logic to it, and it has a purpose. And so I'm like, well, okay, if you have spooky haunted snow that's been poisoned by some kind of government experiment that went wrong, and it turns
something
you insane,
related to the plane
which
crash
is
that they
like
mentioned.
Cabin in the Woods, right? Or something related to the plane crash, whatever. Give me some suspense, give me some excitement, give me some action, violence, that sort of thing.
They tried to spice it up a couple times with the hallucinations.
That was
Like
the
one kid
only
sees
card.
The spooky snowman. That's like a terrible CGI effect.
The hallucinations was the only play they had in the whole movie. It wasn't like interesting inter-character drama like Bodies. Where, where it's like it feels like it's alive and the characters are interesting and
or even going back to Cabin Fever again, like whatever problems that movie has, it's so eccentric and weird that there's lots of things you remember about it. This movie doesn't have a pancakes kid.
Pancakes!
No pancakes!
Right. and it's just like a flat line, and it's so dull. You literally could have done anything with the location and the cast.
It's a good location. It's a decent enough cast.
Sure.
And it looks good. The cinematography's nice.
It was just they were banking on, I think, an attempt at a psychological thriller that's brought on by forced sleep deprivation.
Yep.
Which, to us Midwesterners, is laughable. You can survive inside of a modern structure without dying for more than 2 nights without power.
Yes.
I've done it. I'm sure you have.
I think anyone in the Midwest has done it.
You would have to have.
I've never seen a spooky snowman come to life.
No, and I mean, I've gone without sleep, but you have to go without sleep for quite a while to have like really dangerous hallucinations, I think.
Well, then the ultimate joke at the end of the movie, the whole idea is that they're trapped in this house because of all the snow everywhere. And then the cops just show up at the end. They just drive right up.
Right. Yeah. Because they couldn't do the effect of piles of snow.
Yeah.
But I get the point was that, nobody could sleep and that caused hallucinations, which was the threat or the horror in the movie. But then you also need to tack onto that strengths with your characters. The closest thing was the M girl, who was a hypochondriac, like cut her stomach open.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like...
She's like, I got it out.
Right.
Whatever the illness was. I
Yes.
got it out.
Oh, Long
the other guy just
Johnson.
punched the one guy and he died, I guess, or something. I don't remember. But then you have the
Oh,
the
Don
love of
Piano.
Eden, and so that sort of played out. So there's a little bit of payoff there, but it's super weak.
Yes.
Are you done punching down? This movie was made by children, and you're beating it up.
Hey, when we were children, we also made a horror movie where nothing happened. So
That's true.
we have the authority to speak on this subject.
Right. When Colton Tran's 58 like me, he could sit with a pumpkin beer and complain just like I am. No, I just see it as like a creative disappointment. Like, what?
Yeah.
What were you doing? Like what like I don't know. You gotta go big. You gotta go big. You gotta double down. You gotta make something that people remember. Or you make some kind of like. This feels like exploitive trash without the exploitive trash.
Dogecoin?
Like I said, nudity and gore. You're two,
We can do Doge.
hallmarks of a horror picture. If you have good characters, I don't mind the lack of nudity and gore in a horror
Oh
picture.
yeah, no, you can go simple. 5 people in a cabin. You just have to be really clever.
This movie lacks all the meat of any kind of like what a movie needs. It doesn't have anything, with the exception of I don't even care about the creepy moments. Nothing was creepy.
The only thing that just visually looked kind of creepy, there's a part where someone's looking in a closet and
the
that creepy
hand,
hand
yeah,
comes down.
yeah.
See, that's not bad. Good job. Get 3 seconds of spooky
3
in
seconds.
your 80-minute movie.
And we're out.
Ah!
Oh, the door sound effect showed up. Gotta mention that. Door squeak. Get it out of there. Can't use it anymore unless you're doing a comedy internet series.
There was one, I don't know what we'll call it. We'll call it an
Lame.
action moment.
Where it feels like we're seeing the shot before the actors start.
It's very rare, but they happen, and it's when he's.
Well, they happen in movies like after last season.
And action. We're building up Snowfalls. We're saying you could do better. You could do better, Snowfalls. you could have made a better film, and this is why. And these are our opinions.
Just don't let this guy write the next one.
He didn't write it. Someone else wrote it.
Oh, really?
Story by kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah. And I saw the writer's credits, and it's like all those like junk movies you see on Tubi.
Oh, okay.
It's like junk Tubi movies.
Clown Massacre 6 or whatever.
Yes, yes.
How do I get that?
Haunted
How do I find it?
House.
It's not there.
Yeah, like with those like awful Photoshop covers. It's just like junk Tubi
Yeah.
films.
Do you
And
think maybe with this movie he was going for like an A24 minimalist art house thing?
ooh,
Maybe that's what he was trying to do.
it just made all my skin crawl. Thinking of that, I thought.
I'm just trying to. I honestly don't understand what it is. I'm just trying to make sense of it.
I've seen trailers for trash movies that try to emulate that A24 vibe.
Oh. Yeah, it's kind of a style now, as far as like trailer editing goes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. If that was the attempt, it failed on a big scale. But that's,
I mean, whatever it was attempting to do, it failed. The fact that we don't know what it was trying to do is a sign that it failed.
Yeah.
It's just such a bizarre non-movie.
It's one of those where it's like, well, here's a script for like a cheap horror movie that's super easy to make. Very little like practical effects, just a couple of like little scare moments. You shoot it. I think it said it was shot in 6 days.
That makes sense.
So it's like maybe it was like, okay, I'm pitching this to an investor. I'm going to get X amount of dollars for it. I could shoot it in 6 days. I'm going to flip it We can get it here. I'm going to attach these two names to it. It's going to make this, you know, like a skim off the top, kind of made some money, move on kind of thing. But if it was an old like man in his 60s, you know, like I would think that. But considering that this Colton Tran is a younger guy, I would imagine he would have loftier goals than just trying to make a cheap buck, like an old B movie, like hack.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
I would imagine he was trying to go and try to achieve something. And this feels like no one's trying to achieve anything. They're just trying to get through it and move on to the next thing. So yeah, you might be right with the A24 like modern horror twist. I really don't know.
That's all I got.
That's what makes it fascinating, is that it's a fucking mystery. It's a fucking mystery. It could be a fucking tax scam for all I know. We spent $150 million on the movie. It lost $149 million.
It's just like in the movie. What's really going on? We don't know.
What's
You
in
gotta
that
guess.
snow? What's in that snow?
We don't know. We don't know what's in that snow.
That's a good tagline for the movie.
We don't know what's in that snow.
Yeah, it rhymes. It's catchy.
Well, I thought the title of the movie should have been "Look Out, Colds."
Well, that's not bad, but can you imagine the characters going, "We don't know what's in that snow," and they're going outside and they're throwing it, and it just the camera just zooms in, and the one guy goes, "We don't know what's in that snow."
You have like the Chief Brody shot in Jaws when he's on the beach and we're zooming in on him, staring out at the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Like those nuclear reactor towers. The camera, you know, booms down from that. And the snow's falling. We show a deer in the woods and it's like eating a leaf, and some of the snow gets in its mouth and goes, and blood starts coming out of its eyes. Don't know what's in the snow. It's just snow. Who wants snow cones? We don't know what's in. And that cuts to black. We don't know what's in the snow.
The title comes in and spells out in snow that's blowing through the shot. Directed by Ari Aster.
So they're just snorting cocaine. All this imagery of like powder.
Yeah.
Girls just doing makeup. And every now and then. Quit being a conspiracy theorist.
I think that's an actual line in the movie, isn't it? Yeah.
Just because this cabin is 1 mile away from those nuclear reactor towers and it's blowing gas this way that's mixing with the snow that's falling all around the house doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the snow. We don't know what's in the snow.
The snowman that's on the front yard, they keep cutting to it. If somebody like knocks into it or something happens and the snow comes off and there's like a skeleton inside of it.
Yeah. Sure, why not?
So many things you can do with evil snow. Instead, everyone just makes stir fry.
And has a couple of alcoholic beverages.
But just a couple.
Just a couple, not too much. No one gets really drunk, and then they all go to bed at 12:02 a.m. on New Year's Day.
Great film, 10 out of 10.
Would highly recommend.
Ah!
We don't know what's in the snow.
Oh, Malignant!
It's like Malignant, where they could see.
I don't usually post a video this late into the evening, but right now I'm like a movie theater toilet. I am fuming. I am absolutely steaming because of how the Super Bowl just ended. I watch every Super Bowl, and in this one, I didn't really have a horse in the race. I'm neither a Chiefs nor Eagles fan. I just wanted to be entertained. And for the majority of the game, I was thoroughly entertained. It was just a great game. Both teams putting on an incredible performance, going wacko mode, insano style, tying it 35-35. And just like the first Spider-Man movie when he fought Bonesaw, when Bonesaw was ready, we had 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime, and it was coming down to the wire, an absolute ass greaser. The Chiefs were driving down the field.
Here we go.
They make it to the red zone.
The
It's getting a little
ass greaser.
dicey for the Eagles. Fans spilling their beer all over themselves in anticipation and fear, but the Eagles are putting up an incredible defensive stand. And then in the most crucial moment of the entire game, with less than 2 minutes remaining in this tie game, a penalty was called for holding against the Eagles, which lost them the game. One single bad call decided the outcome of the Super Bowl at the very end, which is what has led the majority of people who watch this game to call rigged, say the refs are all paid off, and say that it's all just part of the script. Because right now there's a tinfoil nipple clamp conspiracy theory that floats around that a lot of people genuinely believe that sports are rigged. Or rather scripted. I actually do agree that there is rigging to a certain level with the refs. I do think there is real corruption there. But let me just opine on the scripting thing real quick. I think that's a load of dirty barnacles. I think that is just a fat load of fish paste. I don't think sports are scripted at all. That's kind of an unhinged belief. But I do think the refs are corrupt. It's not just football. It's basketball as well. This entire year has really shown me, since I got back into watching sports live, I have seen so many awful officiating moments that I can find no other explanation besides just malicious corruption. And this is the most blatant example. The holding call, I can't show you any clips because obviously it's the fucking Super Bowl. If I even showed you a still image of it, I'm sure Roger Goodell of the NFL would come to my house personally and fucking slap me around and then hit me over the head with a fucking sledgehammer. So I can't show you anything, but if you watch the Super Bowl, you immediately know the call. The call was on the Eagles for holding. The receiver was going out, and the Eagles defender lightly touched him, like on the hip. It was a light touch and like a slight jersey tug that could have even been like accidental. It was so gentle. Like the way he treated the receiver is the way a mother would treat a newborn baby. It was so light and caring. There was no holding at all on the play. And Patrick Mahomes threw up a stinky meatball of a pass that was just uncatchable regardless for the receiver that it was intended for. But they still threw the flag and called holding on the Eagles, which gave the Chiefs a first down and also just gave them plenty of time to run out the clock, kick a field goal, win the game. It was decided by that call. It was the most crucial moment of the game, and the call instantly ended it pretty much on the spot. And under no circumstances is that acceptable. Regardless of what team you were rooting for, I'm sure all of us can recognize that this is a complete wet fart of an ending to an otherwise amazing game. We just got the bad ending to this one, unfortunately. The biggest sporting event that America has to offer is decided by the refs instead of the players. That's pathetic. That's awful. In a situation like this, I think they should go to the replays and be 100% sure that there is truly a penalty worthy of being called in a situation like this. It's a terrible look for the sport, and it's embarrassing overall. They should have 100% held the refs to a higher standard here. Oh, we're under 2 minutes to play, and this call is going to decide the outcome of the game. Everyone knew it. The second that call was made, even the commentators were like, oh, I don't agree with that one. Eek. That's a bit spicy. That's a no good. We don't like that. The commentators were outspoken about how bad the call was. In a situation where it is that crucial, they need to go back to the drawing board, check everything, and 100% be sure that this is a call that needs to be made. Because in this situation, it wasn't. It's a bad call. It's just straight up a shitty call. Even if you're the biggest Chiefs fan in the world, you got your Chiefs butt plug dialed all the way up to maximum turbo settings. It's vibrating in your colon. You're super excited they won. In the back of your mind, you know that it's a pretty upsetting ending. I'm sure you would have preferred if they had actually beat them on their own merit instead of having the refs help. Because no matter how you spin it, that call decided that game at the very end. The Chiefs could have still 100% won that, but now it's always going to be left up to speculation on, well, would the Eagles have made a game-winning drive? Would the Eagles have stopped them on that red zone drive? Like, there's so many question marks now that the win can't feel as good as it would have if the refs didn't make that call. It's a lose-lose for everybody, except the refs that may have been paid off. Like, I'm actually starting to believe that they are influenced in some way financially in order to make these awful calls. We just saw it recently in the NBA with the infamous no call against the Lakers. I'm not even going to bother going down that road right now. I already fucking ranted about that on stream for quite some time, and I'm not even a goddamn Lakers fan either. I just hate how awful calls decide the outcome of the biggest games. I just think that's horrible. Like, it's just bad. And what's even worse is there's really no incentive to be good at your job as a referee. Like, if you do well, cool. If you do poorly, there's no repercussions. Like, some of the worst refs of all time are still currently refs. Like, at the biggest, highest stage. I don't understand why they have so much leniency in situations like this, and so much power, too. This is a call that should have been thoroughly looked under with a microscope 1,000 times. Bring in a third-party investigation unit for this call tonight. Like, have them double-check. Bring out a fucking forensics team. I don't care. It's the biggest call of that game, in the most crucial moment of the entire game. Really do your due diligence to ensure that call is legitimate and necessary. Because you do not want a game to wrap up the way this one did. It causes nothing but turmoil, and it ruins the entire thing. The Super Bowl was amazing, all the way up until it wasn't. At the very last 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. It's craziness. Can't believe I'm actually making a sports ranting video, but my family and I were having so much fun watching the Super Bowl, and when that call was made, collectively all of us let out an audible groan in frustration, and it took the wind out of all of our sails. None of us are Chiefs fans or Eagles fans. We didn't give a fuck who won. It was just such an amazing game, and to have it in this way is deflating. I can only imagine Philadelphia Eagles fans right now. But anyway, I just wanted to vent about all this. Also, I'll tackle one more thing that I've already seen pop up a lot, where it's like, no, it's technically a holding no matter what. I mean, I just disagree. Like, even with the way the rule's written and the way that it's typically enforced, it still doesn't seem like a hold. His movement really wasn't impeded at all, and the ball was still pretty uncatchable anyway, so it's not like it would have had a huge impact on the outcome of that play in particular. So even if you want to argue that technically it's a hold, it's still a call that doesn't need to be made, especially given the magnitude of the game, because that call ends the game on the spot when you make it. This was the most important moment of the game. This was pivotal. And that call being made instantly decides the outcome of the entire game. Their fate was sealed the second they threw that penalty. So I don't think that it needed to be made, nor should it have been, because I don't think any games should be decided by a penalty like that. It's fucking pathetic. It's laughable, really. And that's why a lot of people are screaming rigged, because it did decide the winner of this match. No matter how you argue it, they won immediately off of that call. So it's just a real shame. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about all of that. That's about it. See ya.
Hey, Josh.
Hello, Jack.
So, did you see Solo?
Oh, yeah, I loved Solo. It's really great.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's my favorite Mario Van Peebles movie.
Do you just carry that around with you?
No.
Oh, it was for the joke?
No. Enough about all that. Let's watch the movies.
Yeah, what do we got today? What do we have? What's going on?
Well, let's watch this movie.
It's right there.
His wife is dead. He's paralyzed. Now comes the kill squad. So there aren't a lot of complete sentences, so just be ready for this.
Okay,
all right.
give it to me.
He saved them in Nam. Now it's time for payback. Kill squad. Joseph was their officer in Nam. He saved all their lives. They would each die for him. They just might all die. Joe needs help. He's called out the kill squad. That says.
I do
float it and I'll float it.
I do live streams, you know.
Guys, this is not. I'm not happy about this. I have to do it. I'm literally. I don't know what's going on, man.
Okay, well, I'll give you guys the background on this while Ethan is pooping. And here, I can manage it from over here, right?
Well,
Okay.
you're leaving. I mean, you got to give him
All right,
something to work
we're not
off
gonna
here.
watch it. We're not gonna watch it without you. Oh my God.
Here, I got something we can fill the time with, actually.
What do you got?
Check this out.
I think it's refrigerator.
Ian, you got my screen, right?
What is that?
Okay, so this is your streaming setup, as I'm sure you're well familiar with.
Uh-huh.
You see this right here?
Uh-huh.
Most prominent thing on your wall?
Yeah.
You know where that came from?
Wait, that photo? Once Upon a Time in Los Angeles?
Yeah. Do you know the origin of that?
Yeah, a fan made it. So that's Grand Theft Auto roleplay.
Right. This is Grand Theft Auto roleplay, but where did it come from?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, where'd you get it?
Oh, my P.O. box?
Right. A fan sent it to you.
Uh-huh.
Did you know that fan is in this room right now?
Wait, what?
Sam?
Dan, you're embarrassing me.
I am embarrassing
so
Sam.
Oh my
bad.
God,
He
are
didn't
you
want to tell you.
serious?
Isn't that fucking crazy coincidence?
Oh
Sam
my
made that.
God.
Oh,
No,
Sam
I did not
made
know that
that.
at all. That's incredible.
It was way before I was working here.
She's like, I don't like you
So
anymore.
the full
Don't worry, we're
circle
fucking
is
whacked
really
now.
funny, but thank you, Dan.
She didn't
Wow.
she thought it was cringe to tell you, but I thought it was.
No,
such a
it's
cool
not cringe at all. That's
coincidence. Yeah.
awesome. That is so sick. That's like, it's one of my favorite pieces of art. I have it literally right next
It's
to
the most
to my-
prominent thing in the frame. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
When you told me.
Thanks.
Wow.
Ian
You
and
made
I
that.
loved GTA RP.
You were a Grand Theft Auto roleplay?
The National Football
Oh, this is
League
getting me
welcomes
claimed.
you to the Apple
I can't do that.
Of times, just like folks bringing hives. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. With my passionate affection. Don't take it so hard, because I tried. And so I have gold mine singing in my own face. You can shoot me with your love. You can kill me with your hate. But just like ice. Just like stepping in the deep. Does it come as a surprise that I dance? And if I have diamonds at the into a daybreak miraculous next year. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave.
Become dark. Things change over time. I'm in need of that spark. I'm trying to finish what I start. I guess it's not even worth the try. My grip slipping with decisions, starting to become hopeless. These emotions are endless. I know people make mistakes, but I want to show you to another road. Try and keep you safe. Habits turn to personality over time. Hold on to what you got. Never let it go, cause it could disappear faster than it showed. No matter where the barbed wire slices,